Hello, I'm Kris Bryant, and welcome to my Patreon page where today I'm super excited to introduce Lucy Kaplansky. Hello,
Hello.
Lucy. Hi.
Hi, Chris.
Hi
Nice to
there.
be here.
Nice to meet you finally. I mean, again, we met like
Yes.
20 years ago, but you've met like 2,000 people every day since. So,
Yeah, and I have no memory, so
right.
I believe you though.
I have photographic proof. So,
Yeah,
yeah. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do. Um,
sure. So I'm a singer-songwriter. I've got, I don't know, I lost count. About to put out, I think, my ninth solo album. I think it's ninth. And I've done other albums with other people, and I've been doing this full time for about 25 years, a little bit more. I used to be a clinical psychologist, which was just sort of a detour because this is what I always wanted to do. So I'm actually Dr. Kaplansky, and I'm
oh,
married, and I have a 19-year-old daughter, and grateful to be doing this as my career.
that's fantastic. It's so you're living the dream.
I guess so. I mean, it doesn't feel like that day to day, but yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like me. I always wanted to be a writer and it took me forever to get here, but I'm here. And so
Great.
I'm super happy. I love it. Every time I like and have a new release or I write something new, it's just such a good feeling. I feel like this is it. This is what I was put on this earth to do.
Yeah, it really is a good feeling.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so I'm going to tell everybody how I got to know your music. So a long time ago, my very first girlfriend lived in Connecticut, and she was a darling. She loved Dar Williams. She was really into Dar's music, and so of course, naturally, when you date somebody for the first time, you do everything they want. You know, you listen to everything they say or suggest. And so through her, I learned about Dar Williams. And just note, I gave her Sean Colvin and I gave her Mary Chapin Carpenter.
I'm impressed.
So,
Wow.
that's the music I was listening to, and then she introduced me to Dar. So when I had not seen Dar live, I don't think until Cry Cry Cry, which is a super group of you, Dar, and Richard Shindell. So that was my first introduction to you. It was
Oh,
out in Lawrence, Kansas, and
yeah, yeah.
yeah, Lawrence, like the mecca of Midwestern music, I guess. It's
Kind of is.
it really is. Surprisingly, it's very popular. So I think everybody performed at a church. I want to say there was a church, maybe. Uh,
That's probably true. I
the
don't remember the venue, but that I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, it was beautiful. The harmonizing was absolutely beautiful, and I remember everybody was commenting on how wonderful it sounded. So the thing I loved about Cry 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 was not only the music that you sang together, but everybody was allowed to sing a couple songs from their own music. And so that's how I got to learn your music. And it was right before 10-Year Night came out, your album 10-Year Night.
Right. That's right.
And you sang the song, and I just absolutely loved it. Was that your first single from the? I mean, it's a title song, title
Yeah.
soundtrack. Okay,
Yeah.
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 So that was a fantastic. I mean, I was just like tearing up. Like music
Oh,
really
thank
gets
you.
me. So I loved it so much. And so back in the day, for all the young people who don't know this, when an album came out, you had to go to the record store, and it opened at
Uh,
10 o'clock. And so, and it's always released on Tuesdays. So I used to always pretend that I had like a doctor's appointment at 9:45, and I would leave and go to the record store and pick up the albums. And I picked up 10-Year Night, and yeah,
thank
so
you.
that's what I did. You and Natalie Merchant were the ones I used to
Wow.
work early for. Yeah, so that's how I know your music.
That's
So
so cool.
yeah, and so
Really
then
cool.
after I got that one, then I went backwards and I got your first two albums. Um, uh, Gosh, now you're gonna say I have it written down. I'm all
That's all right.
stressed.
The Tide and Flesh
The
and
time,
Bone.
yeah, right. Yes, so I got those afterwards, and then you were kind of quiet for a couple of years. Because you were working. Like people don't understand. It takes a long time to write music, to create an album, all the process that happens from beginning to end. It's the same way with a book. Like I write a book, it takes however long, 6 months to write, and then it takes another 9 months to edit, go through the process of proofreading and going through all the different editors and getting the marketing. So by the time it comes out, I've already moved on. I'm like 2 books in to something else. And so I'm sure that's the same it is for music, the same way it is for music, or at least it was probably a lot longer and
Was
harder.
that way.
Yeah,
It used to be
exactly.
that way. Things have changed.
They have changed a lot in 20 years. So so then you had an album released every single day.
Right.
And I remember because I was super excited to get it. And that was on 9/11.
It was
So, and you live in New York City. So
downtown.
you experienced all of that. You were there during all that.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other conversation, but we were about a mile north. So we were not personally sort of in danger. But yes, we did live through it that day. So I didn't think about my record again for a couple of days at all. Like it ceased to exist in my mind.
You know, and this sounds bad, but it was one thing that I thought about because I thought this is awful, you know, because everybody was so excited for this album to come out, and then this horrible thing happened, and it was, I just remember, I still remember that your album came out on that day.
That's amazing. You remember that.
So it's just,
Wow.
it's one of those things that just sticks, you know. It's just like, I remember I was going to do this day, but this happened instead.
Well, yeah, and everybody remembers what they were doing that day,
right.
also, especially when it happened, what you were doing when it happened. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, so I really felt for you, and I'm sorry.
That's very kind. We were grateful that we were safe.
Sure. I'm sure.
Yeah.
And then you wrote an amazing song about it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think everybody needs to listen to it. Land of the Living is what the song is called. But is it on a different,
it's on the next album. Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's on The Red Thread.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Was it? Okay. I didn't know if you had a collaboration with other artists that did like a collaboration of maybe, I don't know, efforts to support 9/11 as far as I wasn't sure.
Oh, no, it just was a song. It was just a song. It got some acclaim because of the timing and so on, but it was really just a song, not a part of anything bigger.
Yeah, it's a great song. So I think if nothing else, everybody, at least on my Patreon page, should at least listen to that song.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I mean, we're going to get into buying your new upcoming album. So, but we have more questions. So,
fire away.
Okay. So what kind of music do you listen to? Like if you're just like in the car, you turn on the music. Do you turn on music? Do we do that anymore?
Okay, so there's one, I don't know how many musicians feel this way, probably not many, but for me, an occupational hazard of doing this for a living is that when I do listen to music, it's sometimes feels like work because I'm always trying to write a song. I'm always working on a song, and I've gotten so many bits of inspiration from listening that I always feel like, oh, maybe I can use that. And to listen just for fun is something I've gotten out of the habit of, which is not good. But I can say, I really like the whole, I mean, you can say what you want about Spotify, but I do like the whole playlist thing where you put on like someone's channel and they turn you on to all kinds of stuff you never heard. So I guess that's kind of what I've been doing. So like I put on like the Lucinda Williams channel and there's all this cool stuff. Some I know, some I don't. I don't tend to listen to sort of folk music, whatever that is. I listen to more, I guess, sort of alt country rock. That's the stuff I like to listen.
And Lucinda Williams is a good example of that.
That she's right in there. Steve Earle. Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
I listen to Pandora at the office, and the same thing. They have channels for everybody, and then you get to hear, like on the DAR, I hear a lot of you. Or if I listen to even Kelly Clarkson, every so often I'll get you on Kelly Clarkson.
Really?
Yes. I know, it's totally like, wow, what? Yeah. So I do get you on that. What was the last concert you attended where you're not performing, just like you go to?
I guess the only concert I think I've attended in the last couple of years was an outdoor festival. We have been living part-time on Cape Cod.
Oh, nice.
where we actually escaped from the pandemic because we live in New York City. So we were very, very lucky to have this place. That's where I am right now. But it was on the Outer Cape. It was an outdoor festival. It was sort of a kind of alt rock country festival. And it was amazing to be listening to live music. The sound was great. The bands were great. That was last summer. I don't remember any of the names of the bands, but that was, I don't think I've seen live music other than maybe, being part of a bill and watching the other act. I haven't. I don't think that was it. That was it.
No, the Cape is beautiful. We have Women's Week in Provincetown. So that's a big thing for the writing community.
I don't even know when that is.
Women's Week, you should do this because there's so many musicians and comedians, and then we have a whole entire writer thing. It's the week of Columbus Day, so it's in October. It's like October 10th through the 16th.
Oh, I have gigs that weekend.
I checked.
Look for that.
I checked. I was like, maybe I should invite Lucy to come on down, and I was like, yeah, she has things going.
Thank you. Yeah, that's too bad. Oh
yeah,
well.
It's great.
We love Provincetown. We're in the next town, Truro. Love it here.
Nice.
Love it.
Yeah, that's a good place. Well, we have a writer from Truro. And I remember I was introducing her. I was moderating a panel, and I was introducing her, and I stumbled over Truro because, when you're not from,
it's a little hard to say.
It is a little hard to say. Yeah. So she was making fun of me, and I'm like, I'm not from here. So,
who was the writer? I wonder if I know her.
Sophia Hagen.
No, don't know.
No. Okay. Yeah. So it was kind of funny because I couldn't pronounce it because too many R's. Truro.
Not easy. Yeah. Not intuitive.
No, that's true. Okay, so you have a daughter who is 19. Is that right?
19.
Okay. So how does she feel about you being a musician growing up? Like, was she like, oh, mom, quit playing? Or was she like, this is so exciting, my mom is a superstar?
It's been a combination over the years. So she would come to my shows when she was little, and she always loved to run around on the stage and run around the auditorium. So that was fun for her. And then she got a little older, and she was not happy that I was going away. Now, I didn't go away that much. I mean, I was basically gone on weekends, and I was home during the week. So it's not like I just disappeared, but she would give me a really hard time about that. And I think she even said to me one time, I wish you had a normal job like a lawyer. And I remember thinking, in fact, I might have even said to her, I would be working like 20 hours a day if I was a lawyer. You'd never see me. But, and then she got interested in playing music, and she became a really good drummer. And she started to think it was cool. And then she would come with her friends to my shows. And now she definitely thinks it's cool. Okay. And occasionally, like, she'll have a teacher who's a fan of mine, and then my cool factor goes up by about a factor of like 1,000. So I think my husband is an artist also, and a film professor. He's a filmmaker, and I think she thinks that we being artists is cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I'm happy to say that she likes it. And in fact, this Friday she's going to road manage for me when I go to a gig in Connecticut. And she even said to me yesterday, I can make you an itinerary. And I said, I don't think I need it for one gig, but so she's into it.
Sweet. Yeah, that's good.
And she's studying theater production. So she's way into the arts herself.
That's good. I mean, when you have parents that like really support that, and children see how it can be very fulfilling, then
I think that's right. I mean, I definitely learned from my dad, I think, who was a math professor, and just to say he was passionate about math is such an understatement. That the thing that seemed to matter in life was to do the thing you wanted to do. And we've never tried to steer her any direction, and whatever she wants to do is fine. And she definitely has picked up on that. And I think she thinks being an artist or working in the arts is a good thing. So that's something we're proud of.
Yeah. And plus being at the Cape and also being in the city, you're surrounded by that more so than if you lived in Kansas City, Missouri, where there's like nothing here.
Totally surrounded by it. Totally. Yeah,
We don't have a lot here. We have sports in Kansas City. That's it.
I'm
Sports.
sure you do.
Yeah, that's it. Sports. So what instruments do you play? I mean, you obviously play the guitar.
I play guitar and a little mandolin and a little piano, and that's it. I've just never been, I'm very disciplined, but not about practicing. I've never really practiced. I just kind of picked them up, and I've always just kind of done whatever I needed to do to support my voice, because I was always more of a singer. So I can play chords and I'm good at rhythm. Same on the piano. And that's it. So I don't consider myself a player at all, but I play well enough. So that's it. There are no other instruments.
That's it. That's good enough. I mean,
Not bad.
that's pretty good. I have tried to learn music. I cannot read music. I had a guitar teacher who taught me, he would sit across from me. I'm left-handed. So he was my mirror image. And so he would teach me how to play the guitar that way. And so I did it because my first girlfriend, the one I was telling you about, because we tried to impress, the very first people we were dating and stuff. And so she was learning from Narissa Nields and Dar. She was learning guitar from both of them. And I'm like,
Wow.
well, I'm going to have to pick it up because, I have to impress my girlfriend.
Yeah,
And
of course.
so, yes, I know. So that didn't go over too well. I didn't learn very much. I learned enough to play a couple songs. And then on the piano, when I was growing up, my best friend in junior high and high school, she played the piano. So she was always like, hey, come over, let me learn this, or let me show you this. And so I would learn like The Entertainer, and
Everybody learned The
yeah,
Entertainer.
I know. It's and Nadia's Theme, I think, are the ones that I know. So it sounds like I know what I'm doing, but I just know 2 songs and that's it.
You probably practiced more than I ever did. So I can tell you, it sounds like it.
Well, some people, you're a natural. But good for you. Okay, so here we go. So how did you get into actual quote unquote folk music? How did that, what was your journey? How did you get here?
So I was playing and singing from being a little kid. My dad was a really talented piano player. He was also a math professor. I think I said that. So I was kind of noodling on the piano from early on. And then my brother taught me a couple of songs on the guitar when I was 10 or 11. And that was the beginning. And I was listening to AM radio. So I learned to play Jim Croce songs. I'm dating myself. And then same brother turned me on to Joni Mitchell. And that launched me. That's what I wanted to do. Just be her. And I was about 15 at that point. So then it was just discovering that whole world, James Taylor, Janis Ian, all those people in the 70s, and then on from there. And I just eventually started trying to write songs, but I was always a singer, and I was singing other people's songs for the longest time, but I did well with that. And I went to New York from Chicago and started singing in those clubs and singing songs by people in that scene. And that went really well. And then it's a long story. I decided not to do it anymore and left music for a few years and became a psychologist. So that's kind of, and then I went back to it. So that's a very condensed version of how I ended up doing this. So I always wanted to do it. And I guess enough people told me I was good at it that I kind of thought, well, maybe I can actually do this. One of them was took a vocal class in high school, and she was very impressed with whatever talents she thought I had. And that was really important. I think that had a big effect on me.
Yeah, I think people don't give teachers enough credit for really inspiring students. And,
oh my God, teachers change lives all the time.
Right.
Absolutely. I think she changed my life. I think she did.
I feel the same way. My English teacher, same thing. I mean, he was very positive and encouraged me, and it took forever to find my niche. I was like, do I write straight romance? Do I even try to write a book? It was just, I have read so many books in my life. I mean, I grew up reading. I learned to read when I was 4. My sister was 3. She's always better. She's older. She's better. But yeah, so ever since then, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do, but can I make a living at it? And so the very first job I got out of college was an editing job, and there was no money. I couldn't make it work. So then I got into sales, and then I went from sales. I finally just said, I'm going to write a book. I'm just going to try it. And so
Because that's what you have to do.
yeah, you do. You have, and you have
A
to
leap of
support
faith.
yourself.
Yeah.
Right. So I finally did it, and I said, yay, this works. And so, yes, I got signed with Bold Strokes Books out of New York. And so I've written probably like 15 books or so. So
That's a lot.
it is a lot. It is a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, 15 books.
I'm
And
impressed.
they have me now on a 3-book a year schedule. So yeah.
You're on a schedule
I'm
with
on a
someone.
schedule. Mhm.
That's awesome. Someone is, that's so awesome. Someone is paying you to write books.
Right.
That's amazing. That is incredible.
It's I wish I was 20 years younger. I wish I would have done this when I was a lot younger. So let this be a lesson to everybody. Follow your dreams as as early as you possibly can.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah. So okay. So what are 3 adjectives that describe your music?
Well, I mean, okay, so I'm just going to be like honest.
Do it.
Like what I aspire to. I mean, I think ideally moving.
Maybe true.
Music moves people. They tell me that, which is why I know it. Honest, I think is actually a good word. One more. I guess I'd like to think soulful.
Okay.
Which is the kind of music I respond to for sure.
Yeah, I think mainstream music, it's good. I mean, I'm not a mainstream. I know some mainstream music. I mean, like everybody knows Adele. Every single person knows
She is
Adele.
an incredible singer.
Amazing. She's
amazing.
Yeah, she's yeah. And Pink and Adele. I do know.
And Ariana Grande is an incredible singer.
She's very good. So I do have some people that I listen to and I know their music. For sure, Adele and Pink are the ones I play on repeat. I have a lot of respect for their music. But for me, it's also like the message, and that's why I got into Dar Williams too, because the message of the music, it's just amazing. Like she wrote a whole song about going to a therapist, and it was a big hit. And the Christians and the pagans. I mean, you don't find music like folk music really on mainstream. You just don't find on the platform. It's
you don't find songs like that.
Right.
I mean, she's an extraordinary writer and artist, extraordinary. And those songs, they're not, I mean, pop music usually doesn't have a lot of depth. Now, I mean, It's Cool As I Am was kind of a pop hit.
Right.
But it has a ton of depth, and it's interesting, and it's funny, and it's moving. And yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah. So
that's not mainstream music generally.
Yeah. And so I like music that, like you said, that moves me. And yeah, love songs move me, and music like Adele writes, like everybody breaks up and heart, you're dying. And that's, your heart is dead. She writes a lot of that music because we all have experienced heartache.
Yeah.
We all have experienced that. But to take a song, even like Sean Colvin's Sonny Came Home, that was a big popular song on the radio. Absolutely. At the time. Yep. And that is an incredible song as well. And it's not a love song. It's actually the opposite of a love song.
Yeah, it's like a hate song. It's like a revenge
song, burning shit down.
Yeah.
So, but it sounds great.
Song.
Yeah. And even Natalie Merchant, 10,000 Maniacs, what I love is how the music and the words are completely different. Like you can hear a catchy song that 10,000 Maniacs did, and it's a catchy tune. You're like, oh, this, woo, God bless you.
A lot of pollen out. Go on, sorry.
It's horrible. The pollen is awful. But you can hear a song and it's catchy, and you're like, oh, this is kind of a cool, catchy song. And then you hear the words and it's like, boom, wow, this is amazing. Like, child abuse. And it's a catchy song, and you're just like,
Suzanne Vega,
yes,
Luca. I mean, she was a really big influence on me. She and I started out together in New York, and she another incredible writer. And that song, that was a pop hit, and it's
That
about
was
pop abuse.
mainstream and big. I
Yeah,
remember that song in high school. Like that was crazy.
yeah,
It was a very
crazy.
good song. And I actually had, I think I have two of Suzanne Vega's CDs. Like who has CDs? They're like hidden somewhere, you know. And then I have to look for a CD because I have a CD player in my car. Who has that anymore? And
I
yeah,
know.
so music has changed so much since I was a kid. Like you know, cassette tapes. I was after the 8 tracks, so I came in during cassette tapes, and then CDs, and then you had the little MP3 players, and now you can get
Right.
music anywhere immediate. So it's amazing what
That's all
how much
digital.
it's changed. Yeah. So that's why you were saying it's so much easier and faster and quicker to get albums out now because everything is digital and it's right there and you can probably do it yourself.
I am doing it myself. Yeah. I mean, that's it.
Amazing.
That's kind of what I meant. Like literally. So for instance, for this new album, I'm going to get in via email mastered versions of the songs in about 2.5 weeks. And I'm literally going to put them online the same day and start selling them.
That's
Because
amazing.
there's no stores anymore, as you said. And I'm actually, we can talk about this later, whatever, but I'm not doing any of the typical merchants, Amazon, iTunes.
Good.
I'm
Right.
It's all me. So I'm selling them myself from day one as soon as I get it. And that's completely different than it used to be. You
Yeah.
used to have to, literally ship them to stores and et cetera. So yeah, it's much easier to do it yourself.
Yeah. I
Totally cool.
I love that. So like even over the weekend, today's Tuesday. Over the weekend, I supported Same but Different. It's a movie, a lesbian movie from New Zealand, and they're not streaming it. Like if you want to see this movie, you have to go to their website, sbdmovie.com, to rent it. And I think that's great. Let's give the artists the money and not the middle people.
Yeah. I mean, artists, everything has become free.
Right.
And art, I mean, I think it's different with books. Books people still buy, but um, magazines, newspapers, music, it's all just sort of on the web available. And I decided I was going to try something different, and
Yeah,
it's not available. You have to actually buy it.
that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same thing.
So tell us about your new album then.
It's called Last Days of Summer. I so Rick and I, my husband Rick and I, write together, and there's a few original songs, and they're mostly written during the pandemic when we were kind of up here on the Cape. And then there's a few cover songs, including These Boots Are Made for Walking, which I've done live a bunch and love that song. Anna Jackson Brown song. Anyway, and I recorded it during the pandemic in outside of Boston. And it's all self-produced. Great band. And I'm really happy with it, really proud of it.
Oh, good. And so June 2nd, it comes out on your website.
Approximately. I mean, it could be a couple of days later, but I think approximately June 2nd. And it's available for pre-order, which is a new thing. I just thought, why not set it up for pre-order?
Right.
And people are buying it. So the way that works is if you pre-order it, you will automatically get a link for the download on the day it's released, which was hopefully June 2nd. And then there's hard copies too. If people want to get autographed CDs, that's going to be available like 10 days later.
That's great.
And that's all me. I'm
Yeah.
my own shipping company.
That's great. So we know that it's packaged with love, made with love.
Totally.
So I think that's the best way to do it. I really do. I commend you for that. I think that's great. I think like I was looking at a concert. Tori Amos was coming through town at the end of this month, and her tickets were reasonable. And I was like, wow, $50 for really good seats. I can do that. I think that's great. And so Ticketmaster had another $95 on top of that.
What?
Yeah. So it was going to be like 2 tickets for $50 a piece. So I was thinking $100 plus maybe some service charges. It was $95. I couldn't do it. I can't do that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, and I remember years and years ago, Pearl Jam tried to get around that. I don't know if you remember
I
that
do
with Pearl
too.
Jam.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so they
do.
were trying to sell their own tickets and stuff. So I love it when an artist steps up and does their own thing and tries to promote it a different way so that they get more money. So definitely we're gonna promote your CD. We're gonna get
Thank
it
you.
out. Oh, for sure. That's no problem. So let's see. What do I have? Um, you have a Patreon page too.
I do.
So that's good. So people can just look for Lucy Kaplansky in the search line if they go to patreon.com and find you that way. So, and I know that you play music there, so that's amazing. So
I
everybody,
do. I play a lot of
yeah,
music there.
that's
And
good.
yeah, generally stuff I haven't ever sung before because I figure, well, why not do something you can't find otherwise?
Yeah, no,
So
I think it's great.
like yesterday I put on John, I don't know if you know John Gorka, but I recorded a John Gorka song, which I've always loved, and that kind of thing.
So yeah, so if you want to hear Lucy and see Lucy sing songs, join Patreon over there.
Thank you.
Now how can people find your music?
LucyKaplansky.com.
Okay.
So my last two albums are only available through there or at my shows. My previous albums, there's a link on my website to my former record company, and you can get them that way. The previous albums are also on Spotify, on iTunes, on Amazon. I had some luck with Spotify because they put a recording of mine on an incredibly popular playlist about 5 years ago. So it's now up to about like 12 million. It's over 12 million streams, which is nice and
Yeah.
nice exposure. Not a lot of money, but not nothing. Anyway, so yeah, so those ways, but the new albums are only through my website.
Okay. Or you're doing shows again. Like I said,
Yeah,
because I
I'm
looked
doing
at your
shows.
tour schedule and I was like, dang it, because I was like, oh, it'd be great to see you in
Yeah.
P-Town, but
Oh,
but
yeah.
I was looking at that. And why are you not coming to Lawrence anymore?
Because he's not doing that series anymore. I'm blanking on his name, Bob. Kansas
Bob. I
Bob.
remember Bob. Yeah. I don't remember his last name. It was a long
I'm
time ago.
blanking and I've known him for 25 years. But yeah, I don't think he's doing it anymore. I mean, the level I'm at, it's like that's the kind of promoter it is a lot of the time. It's like their labor of love. And when they stop doing it, there ain't anything else in that market for people like me. That's it.
Yeah.
So I know I always loved playing in Lawrence.
Yeah, it was like I said, it was before it was amazing how many people actually came through town. And like it
Oh,
was only an
absolutely.
hour away. I would just like hit I-70 and
Absolutely. It's this bastion of obviously like progressivism in the middle of Kansas.
I know.
So it makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know
plus
you know.
sports, that's what we're around. Like Kansas is big for sports too. Sports and music, and Kansas City is big for sports. So
Right, right.
yeah. So, well, thank you very much for being on my Patreon. I appreciate this so much. I know that everybody here is going to like run out and trust me.
Thank you, Kris. Thank you. And thank you for this wonderful cause, supporting animal shelters. I know you're an animal lover. I am totally in love with our dog, Janie, who's a beagle, who shockingly has not shown up.
I see the
Well, I've
doors
been
open. I was
recording this.
hoping.
I think she's sleeping. But what a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. So thank you for doing that. And what a nice conversation.
Oh, I've loved this. Thank you
Lovely.
so much. Yeah. And so maybe in a little bit when you do a couple more albums, you can come back on. We'll talk
That'd
more
be great.
about it. I would love
That'd
that.
be
And
great.
everybody else here would too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much and good luck.
You too. Good luck.
Thank you so much.